Hello, and welcome to Paint the Edges with your hosts, James Mack and James there. I was talking perfectly fine. And then 3 seconds in, I just get a cough after the. So Jay put me onto these. I did. And shout out, I can't even remember who got him onto these, whatever. It's someone in the prescript community. I do apologize. These are great. Okay, great. So it's called SETT, SETT, a better buzz. This is the mint. Big fan. 6 milligrams. I have ordered the threes as well, just because, kind of want to dabble in less of a kick in the teeth every now and then. But it's a serotine. So it's like a synthetic, or it's a different form of nicotine. Look, I haven't done enough research into it, to be honest. I haven't. I probably should. But I've kind of just been putting things, like Jay just handed it to me. I was like, sure. Like, I did that. So it's got 6 milligrams of serotonin in it, 80 milligrams of L-theanine, which is actually it's a pretty decent dose of L-theanine. So L-theanine obviously kind of helps stabilize and keeps, it helps with heart rate significantly, but it helps that you see it in like monsters, like that type of thing. It helps with the crash that comes with the back end of that stimulant-like effect. So I've kind of just added that in, and it's real good. Like real good in terms of where this is. What I do find interesting, now that I'm looking at the ingredients, I've just been banging this down. I mean, look, there wouldn't be a mass amount in here, but they have MCT oil in here, so they've clearly put, I wonder if that's how they've kind of put the ingredients together, using like a glycerol or and an MCT oil. Anyways, whatever. The only thing that comes to mind by doing that is then you technically take away some of the absorption, because you've now put it in water, for example. But anyways, whatever. Really good. Really good in terms of that. Just has a much better, like, stable buzz is the first thing. Keeps you nice and stable. Flavors are better than the Zins. Less of a like nicotine kick in the teeth. Like less of a, I just put a pouch in, or I just put like a bunch of dip in my mouth. So, and this is a big one for autistic kid over here. Like the actual pouches have a different texture to them, and they're less, I just put a piece of net in my mouth, than like the Zins. Way better in terms of that. So thoroughly enjoying these. Shout out SETT.
So if you're listening, if you're watching, they have there is the approval from both Genta and Mac. If anybody from this company is listening,
that's saying reach something out. For sure. Anyways, I like the little slogan is "No nicotine still slaps." I agree. I definitely agree in terms of that. But yeah, big fan. Has been working quite nicely. Sorry, I don't even know where my thought was. Oh, for those going on the saga with us, Riverside have changed their thing again. Clearly, it wasn't just me getting upset about it, but now your start button, you click the up arrow, which is interesting. So they clearly changed a bit of their demographic or their target market, because your initial and your first thing is immediately start with a live stream. So I wonder if there's like a lot more podcasts, or like if their aspect of things has moved into live streaming, not as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there is a market for that. I'd be interested what that audience is, because like I
wonder if we can do that. Should we try a live stream like at some stage? We'd be hilarious.
I mean, the question I would say is like, what is it connected to that it's going out on?
So you connect to like your YouTube, for example. So like I just saw it came up, and it came up. Oh, it came up with like I can click live stream, but I don't want to do it. I'm too scared something's going to happen. But you can live stream it, and then I wonder if the podcast then sits there as a live stream right there and then, though. Which, look, it would be a complete nightmare, because then I can just imagine Marshall phoning us. what the fuck did you guys do? Now the podcast upload's not going to work because it's not going to go to Spotify. It's going to be a nightmare. It would give him a headache.
We will just treat it as a non-episode and just put it out into the
YouTube universe and see what happens.
How many people? I guess there are people that do it, but I'm just thinking about like who's going on YouTube to watch live streams. But
dude, people watch people playing video games live streamed on YouTube or Twitch or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Insanity.
So don't expect it. Don't ask for it. Might accidentally happen at some point.
might accidentally come out of nowhere. Fuck, that'd be quite funny. Anyways, let's get into something semi-educational for today. I don't know. Saw some. Look, I'm not the biggest fan of these like S tier. What is all of these types of things. Look,
yeah.
In all honesty, I don't even care what it like. I don't even know what it stands for. The whole like S tier, like I know that it's a ranking system. I get that, but I don't know. I haven't taken enough time in my life to exert the energy to care enough to go and be like, all right, I'm going to Google the tier system that they're referring to, because I don't know about you. And again, this could be me completely wrong. It's just not. But like the tier system, it's A, B, C, D, F. Like that's the only system I know.
System. Yeah,
like a grading system. So where the fuck does S come from?
What I will say, because I've also done no research and is not dove too deep into it, but instantly, kind of what comes to my mind is it's supposed to represent like super tier or the top of it.
Fuck off.
I think if it is that, and I don't even know, I've not sought out confirmation that it means
you are
super, but that'd just be my guess.
That you are right. No, you're right. I just Googled. Hold on. Yeah. I'll go through it.
So if it's
the S in the top tier grading system comes from Japan. That's the first thing. So
this is hilarious because what I was going to say is that it was just created from too many people that watch anime. And
that's exactly.
And so the fact that
that's probably where it's come from. So it comes from Japan, where it either abbreviates the Japanese word. I'm not even going to try to say it. Shu, SHU with a squiggly line on the top.
Yeah, I won't correct you on it.
No, meaning excellent, or English loan words like super or superior.
Yeah.
So the Japanese academics, Japanese schools and universities historically used Shu as a highest rank above the grades like U or Ryo or K or whatever that is, which is a pass. So there's U, which is good, Ryo, I'm probably saying that's fair, and KA, which is pass.
So
superior or special is what this means.
Okay, so fitness has that tie-in to like adults thoroughly enjoying anime, so that's probably some of it.
So one more. Sorry, this is exactly. Here's the tie-in. Video games. Japanese game developers adopted the S rank to reward players for elite or near perfect performance.
But here's
how many fitness people do you know playing fucking video games?
How many companies have anime on their graphic T-shirts? Too many of them.
Yes, I know. It's way
but here's the thing that like why I went to that, because like old school Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan. That's instantly what I thought of.
Yeah.
The hilarious thing though is you're taking the English grading system of A through F and then just interjecting on like A was the answer. It was already there. But we needed something greater than a Japanese grading system. But here's the thing. Off of what you read, the Japanese grading system doesn't have an alphabetical.
It doesn't have an A. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it has it's its own thing. So
Ryo.
You're taking this English grading system and arbitrarily just throwing on a Japanese grading system, which probably already would encompass an A and possibly B in it. So it's like,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Yeah.
if it could have been
None of
A
it makes
plus
sense.
or AA. AA was already
Yeah,
taken.
see,
Can't use A plus. That's not cool. So super tier.
S. S. We just, yeah, super tier, superior. I just can't. Oh, fuck. I hate this industry sometimes. Anyways, so look, I hate the industry. And on top of it, I hate it when, like, I don't like that content. I hate that content on the internet. I think it is, I think it's just, I think it's low intellect. I'm sorry. That's literally how I feel about it.
Well, it is, and we're this whole episode is going to be on this. So, like,
Yeah, yeah,
if you're into
yeah.
it, keep watching it. If you're over it, we're writing the whole episode on this. But because I want to take it two ways, like this one plays into a tier system that is very arbitrary. That like it's
Makes no sense.
it is your opinion and no research or anything to it. There's hardly any
Oh,
context, and that's part of the issue. Which, sure, social media wise, probably a smart strategy because it creates engagement. Either you agree with this or you don't, and either way, if you're active in the comments, you're yes, I agree with this, or no, I don't agree with it. But two, I think larger that we can speak to is just like reacting to something.
oh.
Like it's the lowest form of content that you can put out there, at least trying to be educational, just taking somebody's video and reacting to it, especially whenever in the minute video 40 seconds of it is you sitting here and arbitrarily every now and again,
S. A.
well, it's just the other person's
B.
material.
Yeah. 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 It just shows you that at the end of the day, like the social media game, the content game has just moved so superiorly to this other direction. Like I saw and look, I don't know if I agree or disagree with this, but I saw someone put up a post the other day in terms of um and like someone from like going through kind of like a the most recent kind of meta analyses of everything kind of going on. Educational content is dying out, and I can kind of believe that. And where educational content, in a true sense, is dying out. I think that's an important distinction to make there, because you putting up fucking your S tier bullshit going on is not educational, in my opinion. Like it's not. It's got no context behind it. It doesn't allow for any elaboration in any shape or form. It's clickbaity, because 9 out of 10 times the statements made within them are made to create some form of controversial opinion or controversial statement in some shape or form, which then increases comments, which then increases engagements, which then does like moves it from that standpoint. So for me, I just sit here going like, why? What is not what is, but I guess it's a hard delineation of, if I was a newer coach coming up in the industry, I wouldn't struggle, because I would literally just do exactly what I'm doing and keep doing that, because at the end of the day, that is my part of my values, the cause in terms of what I would do. But the struggle comes in of how do you get the attention of individuals who want more than that, but don't necessarily have the bandwidth to get more than that, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I so to that, what I would say is it's a shift in perspective of what you're trying to accomplish. And it's also knowing though, and this is true to any industry, that like numbers doesn't convert to dollars,
No.
or in most cases not in a meaningful way. You can leverage those numbers absolutely, but based on the audience that you build those numbers from are going to dictate how that translates into revenue and how that translates into a sustainable model. Because I mean, you can look on the internet and like see these huge numbers, but if you've spent any time in the industry at all and actually talk to people, like most of the time, that's not, there's a small percent that are actually making a lifestyle off of that. And then by and large, those people with huge numbers are leveraging those numbers to create other opportunities to help prop up this thing that you're actually viewing. So there's this confusion that like, oh, big numbers equal big money, instead of like, no, this is just a business savvy person that has now taken these numbers and able to utilize them in a way that allows actual revenue. But they're not speaking to that. They're not like, oh, actually I have, all these other investments, I have all these other businesses that actually make it worth doing this now. This isn't my one income. And I think a lot of times that's kind of the view, is like, oh, this is making the person rich, instead of, no, it's a lot of other things. Or even more so, that like, hey, they just have a lot of investors because they've been able to show, hey, I get a lot of views and a lot of stuff, give me money and float this so we can build it up and hope that it starts bringing in revenue on its own that's self-sustaining. But really, it's few and far between that actually do that. But it's a very large pool of people trying to utilize that tactic. So all that to say is, are you chasing numbers, or are you chasing the quality of information? Because also what you find out in the industry, any successful gym owner found this out in comparison with Planet Fitness. So Planet Fitness everywhere, but there's a huge corporate arm that helps with financing, that helps with how they're set up, the distribution, all these things to bring it in, and even the systems that are utilizing it. The independent owners of those facilities, they don't have to go out and find their own check-in system. It's all
Yeah.
universal. And so there's a lot of these components that allows for that expansion and development. But any successful business owner or gym owner, they can tell you, like, yeah, I can make a pretty good living off of 50 to 100 members. I don't need to do a $10 sale that that we have 300 members that never show up, because
Yeah.
the goal is
Yeah.
that, one, I hope they don't cancel, or it's so low they won't cancel, so this is just income, or I'm constantly having to re-up. Re-up is not what you want in the long term. It's retention.
Yeah, it's I go back to kind of like a statement I made a couple times. It's like the goal is to be of influence, not an influencer.
Yeah.
And the understanding behind that is your posts, your advertising, whatever that is, like you kind of mentioned, it's not necessarily about the amount of views it gets, but the amount of impact that that makes. And off the aspect of that impact, that's going to find, or that's going to attract individuals who are going to buy in, are going to be there for a longer time period. Your churn will be less, etc., etc. When we look at it, we extrapolate that out into a little more kind of businessy, if we were. But essentially, how that is running is, or I think something that needs to be reminded or remembered in these, once you take a peek behind the curtain and you start to look at all of these super successful businesses and everything kind of running, it's like, yeah, adverts and like marketing and Facebook ads and all these things are a huge component of their business, right? So yeah, they're doing $100,000 a month, or $1 million a year, or whatever it is. Like, okay, but what's their percent profit? And what's their actual profit margin? If they're sitting at 30% profit, it's like, yeah, they're spending $70,000 on adverts and overheads a day, a month, and they're taking home 30 grand. It's like, well, that's not a 100K a month business. It is, but it's not 100K a month business in terms of revenue. And at the end of the day, when you come to the year amount, it's like, what percentage are you playing with? What is your profitable percentage that you kind of come down? And I think, sorry, I'm pairing two different things together here in terms of one business, one insight, etc. But to maybe pull it back a little bit, at the end of the day, I think content wise, we have seen, I don't know if maybe it's just more on my feed, but I've seen, especially in the last like 6 months, a low IQ content. Like I heard I heard probably one of my most favorite insults of all time in the last week, and the insult is they have a room temperature IQ. I fucking laughed so hard because it's the perfect analogy of like, you're an idiot. Look, that only works in Fahrenheit, okay? For like all of the Australian or the non-Fahrenheit using individuals, but that's it. And I genuinely think the content that we're starting to see is very much like the low IQ content, unfortunately.
Well, and to that point, if you're playing to that crowd, you got 10 to 30 seconds. What valuable,
Yeah.
detailed information are you able to provide in that time? So, a lot of it is going to fall by the wayside of just kind of like slop content. The people that are able to transcend that, one, are going to be very engaging people that hopefully don't kind of fall into that path, but try to rise above it. Other side of it, if you're making, let's say, 2-minute long videos, the audience that you get, that's going to be the audience that it's a lot more of a retention, because they're showing that they're staying past the allotted amount that if you were to analyze it, it's like, hey, we have a 20-second audience, let's play into that. The audience that you're getting from that, yes, is going to be smaller in numbers, but as far as repeat watches or retention, reviews, subscribing, things like that, it's probably going to be more meaningful, but a smaller, more localized or focused group that you're appealing to. To this, though, I know this is going to take us on a path, but I would be remiss if I do not bring this up, because I know you don't. I
No,
would be
no.
very surprised if this has gotten to you yet, but I'm so excited to present it to you in this conversation, because again, you're the appeal to like the lowest rung of engagement, and it's going to bring certain type of personalities and populations that you're never going to transition over to those long-term views or commitment or anything like that. So in the university setting, it was just announced, and I've done no further research into this, but it's always
Oh.
something that it's hilarious to me whenever I see this. So the university, or Arizona State University, they're kind of known as like one of the top party schools. Every year they're ranked in probably the top 3. So very, very, like, they're known for being a party school, and that's where a lot of people go. They just put out a statement that they will have, I think it's a degree, I don't know if it is a full bachelor's or if it's going to be like a minor or tie into some other degree, but basically how it's being advertised is they're going to have a degree for influencers. Now, and it's kind of being promoted as that, of like, hey, come get a degree to be an influencer. The hilarious thing to me,
What?
yes, but to this point, it's not just at the lowest level, it is up top that kind of plays into this thinking about, because here's the thing. Whenever it comes to technology, what you hear time and time again in the industry, that university or higher education is always behind the ball. So think about this. Think about what people, like, if you're lucky, people our age, but probably 50-year-olds trying to teach 18-year-olds how to be influencers. It's like,
Jesus.
what's the textbook on that? The reality would be that yes, you're going and getting these adjunct professors that are already in the industry and speaking to what they're doing. But we already have that. We have that master class in fitness that never really plays out like that. It's like, oh, this person is just they've refined their processes and they're telling you what they do, but it's few and far between that are able to replicate this. But I wanted to
I mean,
share this.
I no, I hate you for this because now I'm on the internet. So it's a Bachelor of Arts in Content Creation.
Okay, yep.
Oh no, so yeah, so it's yes, specific bachelor degree programs now exist explicitly for aspiring social media influencers and content creators. Most notably, the Bachelor of Arts in Content Creation offered through Arizona State University. Cronkite? I don't know what the fuck that is. Whatever. You know
Was
what the
it
sad
Walter
thing is?
Cronkite?
No, it just
Okay.
says University Cronkite School. I don't know who that is. Who's Walter?
Walter Cronkite was a news reporter back in like the 40s,
Okay.
50s, 60s that he was like a household name because you had 5 channels.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, fair. All right. So here's the thing, and what makes me sad about this is not just the influencer side. It's the university getting on board in a way that. I'll make my statement after I read this because this is, and I think you'll understand what I'm kind of getting at. So it says here what the degree teaches: video and audio production, training for YouTube, TikTok, live streaming, and podcasts. Fuck me. Audience analysis, using data metrics to track growth and test content performance, personal brand and ethics, learning brand development, copyright law, and mass communication ethics, practical projects, building a live social media channel with demonstrable follower growth as a graduation requirement. Okay, so you have to make an Instagram page as part of. Okay, so here's where my upsetting. Anyways, I'm looking at the course curriculum at this very moment in time. This is where we're at. Okay, major requirements: grammar for mass communication. How is that going to work? Okay, because you can't get marked wrong in grammar, or you can't be grammatically incorrect as a social media influencer because they don't speak English. They say thanks with a THX. Is that going to be how is that going to
Yes.
how are you going to delineate that?
So I know exactly, I can see the wheels turning of how this is going to be delivered. It's this, for me, this is an example of like university being in such a bubble of who in that
Yes.
department has ever done this successfully.
No, but so off the back end of that, here's part of the problem that I have here is this sounds like a university is just trying to get people to come into the university and give them a degree. They're dressing something up that they offer already technically because they offer law, they offer ethics, they offer what was the other one? The video and audio production. It's the same thing, just in a different dress. That's all it is. Am I right in saying that?
Oh, you're absolutely right. Because
I don't know if you legally can say that.
What people do, well, here's the thing. What people don't understand, and for a long time, I won't stay on this soapbox long because it'd be a whole couple hour conversation that I bring into it. But it's the realization that a university is a business. Yes, it is serving an education, but it has to run like a business. It's not always been like that. Now is a time where there's the population density is dwindling. And so we're seeing lower enrollment numbers by way of there's just not as much of a population that are going into college. Not just that they're not choosing to go to college, but that there's not as many humans because people are having the birth rates are dropping. And so now you're seeing a lot of universities starting to try to try to pull the same markets and try to stand out amongst each other. This is a marketing tactic and a tool to try to capture a certain audience. But here's the thing, it's no different than whenever you hear some of these Ivy League schools of like, oh, you can take a class in Beyonce's music. Like there's a whole class in that. Yeah, to an 18, 20-year-old, that sounds really fun and like, oh, yes, I'd love to do that. That'd be so much fun. To an adult, like you're paying $5,000 to take a class on Beyonce whenever you, because, and this is a whole thing with loans that you don't actually see money in hand. And it's, yes, it's still a business that it's fake money until you graduate and then you get the bill and you're like, what the fuck? What? How did I get into $100,000 debt? It's like, because you took a $5,000 class on learning on Beyonce because it was fun. But it's the exact same audience though that you're appealing to. It's just you're dressing it up.
Yeah, and this is kind of my concern and my problem. Like I'm going through this course curriculum and it's insane. Dude, one of them in the digital I don't know what JMC means. Sorry, no idea. JMC elective is content creation skills. Lecture what IDS 315 topic, how to become an influencer. That's it.
But here's the thing, you know what's going to happen is you're going to get some 18-year-old that already has 2 million people that see this, that like, oh, I'm going to go learn something. This makes it more credible. And you'll learn, be like, no, you already did it. There's no reason for you to go. And to that, the ones that are more business savvy are going to understand this, that like, hey, this is just a money grab. And I've done it. I'm not going to get everything out of it. It's going to be the audience that sees the people their same age that have 2 million followers that like, oh, I want to do that. Here's the thing. That person did not need a degree or college to do that because they're already doing the work. So you're going to learn about the work from somebody that has never achieved that to try to achieve something somebody already your age or younger accomplished without 4-year degree and without tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, depending on the college, worth of debt that you've gone into. Because it's dressing it up as legitimacy, but ultimately what it's doing is it's just bringing down the quality of the industry as a whole. In my mind, honestly, and again, long term, I'll stay off of the soapbox, but I think you're going in a university long term, you're going to see a regression back to where it's not offering no, we don't have 40 degrees here. We have 10 degrees and we do these degrees really well. And so if you want to go to school for this thing, you have to go to that school. You can't go to every single, like, hell, here's these 10 schools that all offering the same thing, because it's a saturated market now and there's just not the audience to be able to facilitate that abundancy. So in that, what you're seeing are things that, it's a cash grab. We're trying to appeal to this mass to bring them here for the population. Here's also the other thing is like, if they were actually going to do this of quality, a classroom setting is not the audience you're trying to appeal to. So you're bringing in an audience of 20-second clippers to try to set in a classroom for an hour 3 times a week. And you're going to wonder why you have low quality students, that the instructor's just getting frustrated that, oh, they're not turning in their work. They're not here on time. But they're like, it's just
they're out filming a TikTok in the fucking hallway. That's why they're late. Like that. What kind of comes to mind out of this entire thing is, and I'm sure this was our generation. Our generation was, and we really kind of started to break through the mold and the fringes as our generation, depending on where you kind of sit, so the latter half of it. But I remember my parents going like, yo, you go to university, you get the piece of paper. Like, try and get it in something that you are passionate in. And the conversation off the back end of that was, you're not going to go and do a fucking like a what was ours, like a bachelor's art in marketing or communication. Like they're like, don't do that, because you might as well not go to university if that's the case. Because yes, companies are going to look at it and see, and to be fair to a certain degree, companies would look at it and go, okay, they can have accountability, because a lot of these degrees, it's not necessarily just in the skill of what you're actually learning. It's the fact that there was accountability. They showed up for time on their classes. They passed their tests. They did all those things. Like there's a skill component to going to and completing university that a lot of businesses and HR individuals, when I spoke to them, like that's what they're looking at, not necessarily what the qualification or the university degree taught them. Right? It's not the actual topics at hand, because by the time what's the average degree? 3 years
I
average.
mean, four
Yeah.
now actually,
Okay.
if you look at the statistics, it's actually for an undergrad, at least in the US, it's averaging about 5.5 now.
Okay. So, like, let's think about it. What you learned in year one of your degree is outdated by the time you finish it.
Well, and which I've been a part of these conversations so much, and I have such a problem with it because, like, the justification for a business or viewing a degree is like, oh, they showed up and they stay committed to this thing. And, like, yeah, these things are somewhat true, but, like, but let's actually, like, let's have questions that we have a better understanding of the individual and able to assess the skill set that you're bringing in. Because what I know from being in a university setting, what we're hearing from employers of, we have students coming in unprepared, they're not able to do these skills and things. It's like, yeah, no shit. Like, why weren't you able to detect that in the interview? It's because of that mindset of like, oh, well, they have a degree and they showed this commitment. It's like, yeah, but the first
not how it
2
works.
years, one of the required classes was theater appreciation. Like, how does that count? Because there's all universities have prerequisites that aren't tied into your degree. I mean, really, it's the last 2 years that are dedicated degree time. The first 2 years is it essentially was meant to expand and expose a student to different opportunities and paths to help them detect that. But really, like,
Why can't we do that before they get into the university?
well, but then though you get into the school system where at least in the US, the No Child Left Behind, where we started pushing students through that, even though I have a third grade reading level and I'm an 18-year-old now, you passed because you can't fail. And we're going in here, and then you open up loans where people that have a third grade reading level are agreeing to a $30,000 loan for one semester, and then found out they flunked out of the first year, and now they're in a $30,000 deficit trying to make it back for a job that is going to pay them $30,000 a year. And but that's, I mean, essentially where education, there's a lot to be desired with education. I'll I'll step down from the soapbox and
No, but yeah, you're right. You're right in terms of saying this is like the unfortunate state of, and I'm going to say the industry in terms of an education industry. There's a pay to play standpoint in some of these things where you have to do your due time and pay your 5 years worth of debt to get the piece of paper. But and this is not life advice in any shape or form. We don't want to be sued for, it's like a parent suing us for veering their child off track. But then you really have to weigh up, like, is it worth it? Well, I've looked at this in terms of further study, further education of like, is it worth it for me to go and get this piece of paper and this degree that would buffer my qualification, my CV? And like it's hard decisions that need to be made. It's like, is this monetary investment worth it? Is it truly worth it in terms of moving the needle of me as an individual in my status of what I've been able to do. And it's always a challenging thing that you have to weigh up.
Yeah, and to that point, I think it's important to have a realistic understanding of what does this degree allow me to do, what doors does it open, or what is it as a baseline minimum, and what does that look like to the industry? Because there are far too many times at every single university I've been at that, for example, I have somebody that is getting a kinesiology degree that is months away from graduation. They've dedicated these 4 possibly plus years of getting this degree, and now they're at a point where they're like, I don't know what I want to do. And that's part of the issue too, is it's this, you think the degree creates the job, but it doesn't. The degree can either be a barrier or an opening to potentially getting a job. But what is the reality of that? What does it actually look like? That there's, again, too many times that I've had that conversation specifically with kinesiology, because that's the area I most interact with. But a lot of them don't even have the concept of how does this play out, or what does this allow me to do. Just having the expectation that I'll have a degree and it'll kind of sort itself out, but it doesn't. You have to do your research, and you have to be intentional with that pathway and creating it. Like, for example, at so if I was looking at, like, I want to be a mechanical engineer, like that has a very direct path. It's going to qualify you for this amount of jobs, and here's kind of where the salary average is of an entry level for that job. You know where you're going. There are some jobs or some degrees like kinesiology that have a lot of pathways, but you have to kind of know what entails these different pathways of going to be a physical therapist, of becoming a if you want to advance to an athletic trainer, if you want to just be a personal trainer. These are all different pathways, and they have advantages and disadvantages. But that's sometimes what's, or not, yeah, what I would say is what's not discussed enough, or this is kind of the fall through the crack of actually understanding that. And there are some like internships and shadowing and things like that, but it that message isn't getting across, at least from what I see, that before we start all this. It's kind of like, yeah, you're doing this whenever you're in your senior year, but at that point, how invested are you to try to to go a different way? Like, it should be happening before getting into college, than at the end of college and trying to confirm, and then getting into a thing where, like, oh, I've spent 4 years working towards being a physical therapist, and in my last semester, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. This sounds fucking terrible. Like, this is what it's like day to day. Like, yeah, man, yeah, this is what it is. These are the requirements of it, and so I don't know. It's a universal change in education in high school and college to be able to better facilitate this, but that's more of a genie in a lamp wish than the real potential to see as an industry of a whole moving. And to the point of, fitness, it is playing into this like lower short-sighted aspect of it, where you're taking something at face value, accepting that, and not asking a question past that. It's just like, oh, this is what it is. This is what my expectation of it is, and it kind of stops there.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Anyways, we'll leave it there before, I don't know, we continue boring people about our soapbox around education stuff. But on that note, guys, we appreciate, obviously, we appreciate you sticking around if you've stuck around for this long. If you agree with us, throw it up in the comments. If you disagree with us, throw it up in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. But other than that, guys, we'll see you next week.